voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Good Wednesday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Partly to mostly cloudy with some sunshine today. Chance of a few showers, 55 to 60. There's a chance of a few showers tonight, partly cloudy, near 40 with light winds. Still a chance of showers Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy, around 50. And the chance of showers will continue Friday, just a few, partly to mostly cloudy, in the upper 40s and low 50s for the high. Educate, entertain, and empower. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. US Democrats have won control of the House of Representatives in midterm elections seen as a referendum on the presidency of Donald Trump. Officials in Cameroon say 79 students who'd been kidnapped from a boarding school in the northwest of the country have been freed. The US and North Korea have cancelled high-level talks in New York just a day ahead of the meeting, and Europe's fight against plastics waste has resulted in the word single-use becoming the Collins Dictionary Word of the Year for 2018.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wet Wednesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and my special guests today are Sergeant Lyle Waterworth and Patrol Officer Jonathan Haggans. Today is the first Wednesday of the month, and it is the Jonesboro Police Department's Day. Chief Rick Elliott cannot be with us today, but we're happy to have these representatives here. We're going to get into some conversation that people try to shy away from, but we're going to talk about it anyway because it's becoming an epidemic in not just our community, all across the nation. We're going to talk about gun control or gun issues and opioid use, addiction, abuse, however you want to call it. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here with me today. So we're going to jump right into the opioid issue. It is on the rise. Well, I say on the rise. It's probably been at high levels, the use and overuse, but it's now becoming more in our face. Maybe because of the rise of social media and the way that people access news. We're becoming more and more aware, and have conversations with Chief before about how many cases in Jonesboro and the state alone, have been reported, and people that have actually been saved due to the officers being able to carry Narcan. Is it Narcan?
Yes, it's Narcan. Okay.
It just, I don't know where to start. What question to really ask for is how, why, what can be done? Like, what are you seeing on the streets? Officer Haggans?
Yeah. Oh, okay. First of all, good morning. On the streets, it's kind of very accessible.
Okay.
And it's what you call high potent. So
Oh.
It's a lot of stuff that we have to take as officers ourselves to take precaution in dealing with it. But sometimes, in searching cars and people, you don't really know it until you have came in contact with it.
Wow. Let's back up a little bit and clarify. Opioids, are they only considered pharmaceutical drugs, or can this be man-made, doctored up drugs?
The opioids we're talking about are prescription medications,
okay,
for the most part. There are street drugs like heroin is a derivative of an opioid.
Okay.
But for the most part, the easily accessible is grandma's cabinet, or is mama's cabinet or daddy's cabinet, where people are going to the cabinets and finding where 3 years ago they got a prescription for a toothache, and the dentist, rightfully so, possibly ordered an application of some sort of pain reliever that had opioids in them. And people may have a prescription problem, or a or an addiction problem and not ever know it. Chemically, their bodies may need the information. I was looking on my phone while I was throwing Officer Haggans under the bus, letting him go first. I looked and I knew the statistic, but I wanted to be sure. For every 100 people in the state of Arkansas, for every 100 people, there are 117 and a half opioid prescriptions out there. So that means there are more prescriptions for opioids in the state of Arkansas than there are people. So I don't have a prescription for opioids. I don't know if you or Officer Haggans does, but that just tells you that if there's people that don't have it, how many people really have an opioid, an Oxycontin, some sort of fentanyl, some sort of prescription for an opioid pain reliever. It's crazy.
Now, okay, in order for people to get addicted, I know most people are going to find what they need by any means necessary. Then it goes back to the doctors who have been prescribing. We've known, through the news, doctors will just write a prescription either because they know the patient or they just have very relaxed practices. And I don't know if there's any regulations put in place now, any legislation that's been passed concerning putting a stop on how many prescriptions per person per year per whatever.
I don't think there is, but what I can tell you that our Attorney General Leslie Rutledge has began a lawsuit against manufacturers and prescription companies that are flooding the market in Arkansas with opioids, and she's going after them and trying to find some means to help law enforcement, to help the state government not only one fight the problem, but also two, they're trying to fight the problem and trying to stop the problem and get the problem taken care of before it reaches a problem again.
All right. We have a Facebook comment, and I have a question for Officer Haggans. Mr. David Karn says, just wanted to say thank you to Sergeant Waterworth and all the JPD officers for their continued dedication and community involvement in Jonesboro. Very proud to be a part of the CPA and the Jonesboro Police Organization. Thank you, Mr. Karns, for that. Officer Haggans, so when you encounter someone on the street that either is selling or who's under the influence, what's your interaction with them? How do you deal with them?
First of all, I think we got to get out of the mindset of it's a drug dealer. We got this pre-notion of what people look like that's on opioids, but it can be your mom picking up the kids from school that took too many pain pills. Even though they have a prescription, if the doctor say take one every 4 hours and you take 3 because one is not working, so we got to get that out of mindset, out of our mind of what people look like that's on opioids. Encounter, it's kind of the way things are set up now. You can't just, you're driving high or drunk, or you're on the opioid, so you take them to jail. The steps that we have to go through for court procedure. And so the first encounter, you have to know what you're looking for. If they're drowsy. We've gotten calls of people just fall asleep behind the wheel at a red light. Getting something to eat at Sonic. Push the button, order your food, and they're asleep and you can't get them woke. So, it's different ways of noticing, and it's different encounters when it comes to that.
Now, if you've stopped someone, you find a prescription bottle that doesn't belong to that person, do you arrest them or give them a citation? How do you handle those individuals?
You got a lot of circumstances going on there, because it could be driving. If I'm driving my mom's car and the bottle was in there, the pills are in there, I can say, look in the glove compartment, this is my mom's car. But now if I'm driving my friend's car, and then somebody that he don't know pit bottle is in there, and then it's got 3 different kind of pills in it. So you got different circumstances.
Okay. So do you feel as law enforcement it's harder to crack down on individuals that are either selling or that are selling? I'm going to stick to that.
What?
Do you feel like it's harder to crack down on people who are selling under the table?
I do, because like you said, we stated earlier, if I can get a prescription for it, and I got bottle and I got prescription for opioids, whether it be, pain pills or whatever, it's kind of hard to say that I'm selling my pills.
Okay.
It's, if I, and not only selling, but some people just give them away. Hey, you got a pain pill, I got a toothache.
Or trade them.
Trade them.
It's one of those things where we have rules we have to follow.
Okay.
And we have to have an amount of evidence that would lead a reasonable person to believe that they are selling the drug. And it is the steps that we have to make, because I'm one of those people that I don't want to play if I can't win, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to do my dead level best before I make an arrest to have all the facts that I can have to shore up the case. I don't want to arrest somebody just because, hey, you know what, they've got a couple pills in their pocket. I need a jury, or I need a judge to say, yeah, that's what that person was doing. And it takes a little more than just having those things. There's going to be enough there, and I know Officer Haggans is the same way. We're not going to just jump because, oh wait, this person's got some pills on them, they've got to be breaking the law.
Okay.
We've got to be able to stamp it down and say, yes, this person has broken the law.
Okay.
I've arrested a guy, had 4 different pills in his pocket. Of course, he had some other stuff going on, but he got charged with those 4 pills. Well, he went to court, and he had prescriptions for all 4 pills, and his excuse was, I didn't want to walk around with 4 bottles in my pocket. Instead, I just took what I needed for, because I knew I was going to be home from home the time that I needed to take these pills. So, I mean, you can't, we had, like you said, we have steps, and I lost that one because, he had a prescription. He had a legitimate reason to have them in his pocket.
All right, well, let's flip the script. You encounter someone who shows signs of an apparent overdose, whether it's on opioids or any other street drug. Do you arrest them? First of all, what are the steps when you first encounter someone? We've seen videos on Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. Someone is literally in their car, passed out. They're, if they use needles, still, in plain view. There's all kind of pictures I've seen I wish I hadn't seen. Long story short, what are the first steps or the steps you take to deal with people when you find them in that?
First step for me, and I'm pretty sure most officers on the street, if not all, is their health.
Okay.
So we worry about the other stuff. We're trying to get them aid, trying to get paramedics, trying to keep them from ODing, and then we can worry about the other stuff. We don't want to worry about so much of taking somebody to jail until we get to there and they're not gonna make it.
Okay, I understand.
And here's, contrary to popular belief, we don't win anything the more people we put in jail. Our job is to protect the community, and that's what we signed up to do, was to protect the community. And by doing that, it may be getting this person mental health, it may be getting this person medical health, it may be putting the person in jail, getting them in the system to where the system can offer them maybe some sort of drug court, or maybe some sort of court that will help them get out of the hole that they're in.
Okay. All right, we have some more Facebook shout-outs. Ms. Cora Evans-Hester, Mr. Roy Davis, and Mr. Roy says, shout out to Officer Haggans from the Prunty Barbershop, # the Rural Treatment. And also shout out to Minister Brian Carter. Thank you all for checking in. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in our Facebook Live feed or call us in the studio, 870-277-1080. All right, so one more question. I'm going to move on. Do you feel that any legislation that can be passed will help, whether it's opioids, street drugs, can help people get the help they need to reduce numbers, statistics, or do we just need to start enforcing the rules we have, or have people become more trained in specialized fields to recognize and deal with individuals on either side of the spectrum?
So we do train on, not only do we train on opioid inhibitors,
Okay.
Which is Narcan. We'll talk about that here in
Okay.
just a minute. But we also talk about mental health. We have good laws on the books,
Okay.
and we have a system that can help people.
Okay.
But the first and most important step is, number one, family's got to be on board, ready to help, and the individual has to want help. We can't just come out here and force feed help to people. They have to want it. It's just like everything else. I can't give people as the recruiting officer. I can't give people a job if they don't come apply.
Yeah.
So I can't give people a shot at a job if they don't come apply. So we try and help. We talk to people. We're out in the community. We do things that we want people to know that we're not here just for the bad times. Hey, if you want to talk to us, if you just want us to come to your community event, we're going to be there, and that helps people be able to have answers like what we're doing right now. It's not just about an hour once a month on the radio. It's about, we want to be able to give people what help they can, or if we can't give it to them, we want to point them in the right direction to get them the help that they need.
Okay. I want to go into Narcan, what it is, how it's administered. I read a story Friday night. A lady was in traffic, and I don't know what state, city this was in traffic, cars ahead, someone had stopped, other cars going around. Well, come to find out, the person in the very front had passed out from an overdose of something. And so one person was administering CPR while they were waiting on paramedics and whatnot. And so the lady rushed over to help and, do what she can. And they were, she was just talking about how she was looking at this woman praying and she made it. Well, officers and everyone got on the scene, took statements, how it all goes. And so she followed up with the police department, got a report, and found out the woman was offered an option: go to a rehab or treatment facility or go to jail, and she chose to go to jail. And so the woman was like, it kind of broke her heart. And other people were asking, do you have Narcan, do you have anything? So my question is, can non-law enforcement, non-first responders administer Narcan to someone that they presume has
what I know about Narcan is you have to be CPR certified to administer it, and there's a lot more than just the nasal spray, because that's how we administer it.
Nasal.
It's a nasal spray that we administer, and if I'd have thought about it, I'd have brought mine's out in the car. But anyway, it's a nasal spray that we spray one time in the nose, each nose, and then we get them in a recovery position. But we can't touch them without a rubber glove it's a nitrile. I think it has to be a nitrile glove, because if it's some of the forms of like opioids with fentanyl can be so small, a grain of salt can be enough to get somebody high on this stuff. That's how potent this stuff is, and it is so small that it runs through the regular latex rubber gloves and is infecting officers, and not just officers, first responders, firemen, EMS, and police all total. So we did some special training on how to do it, and if you get out there and you look, you'll find that across the country, Narcan is saving first responders' lives just as much as it's saving people who have intentionally overdosed on it. In the city of Jonesboro, I checked right before we came. Since 2017, we've had 9 administrations of Narcan that we in our reporting system. I don't know how many of those are actual saves,
Okay.
but I know that we've had 9 administrations of Narcan, which was provided to us by a grant that was received by the Criminal Justice Institute of Arkansas.
Okay.
So the Criminal Justice Institute brought it, and their goal is to have every officer in the state of Arkansas trained and in possession of Narcan.
Okay.
They started with places that needed it most, or places that were aggressively trying to get it for their agency. The city of Jonesboro, is not out any money.
Okay.
It was all done through a Blue and U grant.
Okay.
And every Jonesboro police officer, including our canine officers, have Narcan.
Oh. Okay.
So our canines, our dogs, can be affected by that little bit,
Oh.
and we may have to administer it to our dogs as well. So you know, this is a scary thing. The way that the stuff transmits through the skin, the way that it's scary, and it's something that Officer Haggans has to deal with. You know, every time he pulls somebody over that he suspects, he's wearing gloves. He's wearing protective devices. But it's not over. If he goes into a house that's got fentanyl all in it, he could get it on his shoes and take it home with him.
Really?
On the bottom of his shoes.
That's
yeah.
how potent and how scary.
That's the reason sometimes officers, I don't know if feel standoffish, but that's the reason if I know I've been in a certain house or a certain area, I really don't like people kind of.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to have to take a quick break. I want to say good morning to Ms. Keisha Hagan for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these announcements with Sergeant Lyle Waterworth and Patrol Officer Jonathan Hagan.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Victoria Evans. I have always had a desire to help others in need and to be an example and role model to young women by encouraging them to never give up on their dreams. My dream was to become a police officer and to serve my community. In 2016, that dream became a reality, and it is the most rewarding experience of my life. Now I want to let you know about the same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing every month for patrol officers. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com or at the Police Department, 1001 South Caraway Road. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information is available at 870-935-5657.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge and honor of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Back to School Bash, Disaster Preparedness, Delta Academy, Empower African Girls, and Autism Awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrusts: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
House of Details, located at 3217 Herb Street, Suite C, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: waxing, clear coat protection, basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more. With a motto of, anything mean, we can clean. Details available via Quentin Bogard at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and houseofdetailsjonesboro.com.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I want to say good morning. Ms. Keisha Haggans left a message. She says, good morning to my favorite officer in the world, Mr. Haggans, and also to Sergeant Waterworth. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
I was hoping I was her favorite officer.
Sorry.
I'll tell you about that later.
All right, so we're going to get right back into our conversation concerning opioids, use, addiction, abuse, everything in between, because this is becoming an epidemic in our country. And, you know, it's nothing new. However, it's becoming more in your face. And so we want to try to see people get the help that they need. Getting back into the conversation, we were talking, or Officer Haggans brought up earlier how he, you know, encountered a man who had multiple pills on him, and I made a comment about off air that I used to keep a picture of the prescription I was taking because, again, I didn't want to carry big bottles around in my purse or whatever. So tell us, would that help someone if they know they have multiple prescriptions? So keep a little pill thingy.
I'll take part of that, and then,
okay.
And then if Officer Haggans wants to add to it, he probably will. If you have it on your phone, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay. If you have pictures of your pill bottles on your phone, but not everybody. You know, you got to think about how many people we deal with that I don't have enough information to say, yeah, that's them, or officers might say, well, I'm not looking at your phone, or something like that. Sometimes officers need to take and say, hey, wait a minute, let's look and make sure that we're doing this. Totality of the circumstances, just like Haggans was talking about a minute ago, we don't just arrest people for pills. There's going to be more going on. Okay. You know, we contact somebody driving down the street, we pull them over. We're not pulling them over just because we're pulling them over. We're not contacting them just because, hey, we want to contact you. We've got to have something to say, boom, there's something, here's something that makes my red flag go up and says, hey, I need to contact this person. And then let's say they were weaving down the road, and then they started making some crazy moves when I get behind them. I'm not a detective, but I'd call that a clue, right?
Okay.
And then we get to looking further and further, and now they've got these 4 loose pills, and some marijuana in the car, or something that just slowly but surely builds the case.
Okay.
Yeah, it's typically not going to be your grandmother that's that's going to Walmart, and it's going to have some other like I stated before, he had some other stuff going on.
Okay. So now let's talk about, people have these prescriptions, they maybe no longer take them. How can they get rid of them safely?
So there's a few ways. One, every year, twice a year, they do something called National Drug Take Back Day. Okay. But 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the Jonesboro Police Department out in front of the building has a box. You don't have to come in. You don't have to talk to the police. It's basically a come get rid of your prescriptions. It was set up for opioids.
Okay.
However, we get medications, all kinds of medications, that people say, hey, I don't want to dump it because there was a study by the Environmental Protection Agency that said that when we flush them down the toilet, it's causing problems. So, environmentally friendly way to dump no matter what kind of medication it is. We can't take needles.
Okay.
And if it's over-the-counter medication, there's no reason to drop that in there.
Okay.
But any prescription medication, any medication that you would sit there and say, hey, I don't want my 4-year-old kid. Hey, I don't want my 4-year-old nephew. Hey, I don't want someone picking this up and taking it. There's a safe and responsible, environmentally friendly way to dump the medicine. So what we do is we take it, we package it. The DEA comes and gets it, and they have this incinerator that absolutely obliterates it, and it's clean and doesn't harm the fish. It doesn't harm the environment in any way.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I remember reading studies about, because these drugs have a bunch of different chemicals and ingredients in them, and so it's getting into our water system, and then it's seeping into the soil and moving on to the oceans and lakes and blah blah blah. And so yeah, it can cause some serious long-term effects. They may not show up in the next 5 years, it may be 10, 20 years down the line.
Last week, I think it was October 27th, whatever that Saturday before Halloween was. We had National Drug Take Back Day. We took over 700 pounds. 700 pounds of drugs to the DEA to be destroyed. And it was more, I think it was like 7 something.
Transport that in.
So it's a good question. We have a vehicle that we can transport it in. It's a nondescript vehicle. It's a secure vehicle.
Okay.
That way that we can get rid of it again safely and securely. And again, it's all about protection of the community, right?
Okay. All right. So I want to move on to another topic that, again, is plaguing our nation, and I don't know in my lifetime if there ever be any reform done on this, and it's mass shootings or people getting their hands on guns that that are not necessary for street use. I pulled up some, not really statistics, but some numbers, and I don't have the full list. This year alone, there has been countless numbers of mass shootings where people were either, large number of people were injured or killed. Of course, we know the most recent that happened in Pittsburgh. Okay. Can there be any legislation passed to ensure certain types of guns are not getting in the wrong hands? Can we just enforce the laws we already have? Like, from a law enforcement perspective, what can be done? I'm at a loss.
Go ahead, Jay.
I think from my perspective, law enforcement, it's a personal moral thing.
Okay.
And then you're getting off into the mental health issue of it.
Okay.
My grandparents and great grandparents grew up with firearms. We had them behind the door, in the cabinet, everywhere. We knew not to touch them. We was taught, what they was for. We grew up going to church. We were taught to love everybody. Some certain things we don't do. And so when you get talking about just taking them completely off the street, if they have a right to own them, they can own them. But until we can decide or come up with a way to say, hey, is this guy morally right? You're gonna have that issue.
Well, let me ask you this question. And this has come up with some of these mass shootings. Some of the individuals were said to have mental health issues or some type of something going on. In that case, and in one of the cases, not the one in Pittsburgh, but another case, the gentleman was ordered prior to all this happening, before the incident happened, to have his gun rights, his privileges revoked. But unfortunately, he still got his hands on weapons. So in those cases, if someone has their rights revoked, is it the law enforcement's responsibility to make sure that again, this is like we talked off air. There's a black market for everything.
Right.
So,
just like our opioids we were talking about just a minute ago, there is an ability for people to get them, and and I'm not talking about a policeman.
Okay.
I'm talking we the people have to come together, and if we know somebody's not supposed to have guns, we shouldn't be worried about making money selling a gun, because individual sales of guns is not regulated, and I can go and sell and buy guns from individuals, and until there's an ability for or a requirement of people requiring a background check to purchase a gun, that's what it's all about. But sometimes making a little money selling a gun is not worth selling. You know that maybe this person shouldn't own a gun, but you sell it to them anyway. But it all comes back to, just like Jay was talking about, is community and family talking about it, being open and upfront about it. I have 2 children. I've been a policeman for a long time. My wife has been a police officer for a long time. We raised 2 children in the house that never they asked questions about the guns, and we talked about it. You got to talk about it. Don't ignore it. Don't let it be the whatever in the back of the mind. Talk about it.
So
Explain. Demystify it and talk about it. Maybe teach them to shoot. Maybe get them the opportunity to go out and see how loud and how concussive they are. But again, we desensitize people to so much now, and information is out there. It's so easy to get information. I know when we were kids, I mean, we had a set of encyclopedias, and that was my Google. If I wanted to go look something up, I had to. It was limited to what would fit on that bottom shelf of the entertainment center, because you didn't put it on the top shelf because it would break. And that's how we found things out. Now, if I want to find out how to bake a biscuit, I can just Google bake a biscuit, and I can know how to do it. So you can do any of that now, and stuff is so quick. And I don't know that we're having more mass shootings, or that we know about more mass.
More aware.
We just become more aware of the number of mass shootings that are out there. Again, it takes a community, and if we as the community see somebody plotting, don't know your neighbors, and know if your neighbors don't be a busybody, but be friends with people. Know what they're doing. Know what they want to do.
I think we report the mass shootings more, but I can sit here and name cities that has shootings and killings and murders every day by handguns and assault rifles. But until it's a mass shooting, then we want gun laws. We have to start. That's what I was saying. We have to start at home. Start in our neighborhoods, in our homes, and if we can kind of get it from there, then it wouldn't get to the point. And like I said, it's some of it is mental issues. Some people just shouldn't have a gun.
All right.
And one of the questions you asked about was, can we just go, if we know somebody's been adjudicated mentally ill, can we go take their guns? Again, we have the set of rules that we have to follow. We have to search somebody's house and we can't seize their property without probable cause to do so.
Okay.
And we have to know that they have it. I can't just arbitrarily go into somebody's house because they've been adjudicated mentally ill unless there's an order by a judge that says to go get them.
Okay. I want to ask this question. It's a little different, still relating to guns. Officer Haggans and I had this conversation about, there was a video, and I'm sure there are many videos. This is just one that caught my eye. An officer in Ohio, I want to say Ohio, he encountered two teenagers with these toy BB guns that looked like Glocks, basic. They were either painted black or made black, but they looked just like real guns. The officer took a different approach. He didn't pull his weapon on them. He had a real father-like conversation with these young men. I think it shook them up enough, that they might want to think twice.
I think that Mama got hold of those guys too.
Yeah, one of them wanted to walk home by himself. The officer said, "No, I'm gonna take you to your mama." And so, my question is, because these companies are making these guns look more real, what can be done either from citizens signing petitions, petitioning the toy companies to stop manufacturing? I mean, is there anything we can do? Like, what kind of, how can we keep these real looking toy guns get in the hands of kids?
I know what I would say. You hit manufacturers in the pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't buy them.
Stop buying them.
Okay.
And stop making them.
Yeah, and as long as people are buying them, and there's so airsoft. I'm sure you've heard of airsoft.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game that people play, and we do a training with the Stop the Bleeding Foundation. They went and bought some airsoft guns that fit our Glock holsters. They look and operate just like our service weapons.
All of that.
Everything works. They are weighted like it, and they sound like it. They're not quite as loud, but they work exactly like our duty firearms do, which is great for training, because you can do force on force training and get people trained and get their heart rate up so that they make good decisions in stressful situations.
Okay.
However, if a kid's walking down the street with one of those in their hand and a police officer gets out, the first thing you should do is, oh, wait a minute, I need to get my hands where I can see it, instead of reaching in and grabbing it, because Officer Haggans, myself, we don't have that much time to decide.
It's
it takes about a second for us to make a decision as to what's going on. So the first thing you should do is, if you've got one of those on you, don't carry it in your waistband, don't carry it in a holster, carry it in a bag, carry it in a way that it doesn't look like you're carrying a weapon, and communicate with the officer. Don't be confrontational. Say, hey, look, in this bag I have a toy gun, or put your hands where we can see them. If we're telling you to put your hands where we can see them, we're not doing that because we're mean. We're not doing that because we're ugly. We're doing that because we feel a threat in some way. And hey, put our mind at ease, put your mind at ease, and get to where we can communicate with one another.
Because I can probably tell you what happened if somebody rode by and seen those kids, juveniles or adults, playing with it, and they called the police and said, hey, there's 3 guys walking down the street with a gun.
Yeah.
And so, at 12, I work day shift, but at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning,
when it's dark,
it's dark, that guy, on the video, I believe it was daytime, so he took a little more relaxed approach to it. But 3 people at 12 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's the first officer there. Like you said, that split second.
Yeah.
And it's something that cops got to deal with the rest of their life too, and it weighs on people.
And unfortunately, I've experienced this firsthand with my son. He's older now, so he knows better now. But about 3 to 4 years ago, encountered an officer. I had to actually go pick him up from where the officer wouldn't let him and the other kids leave, because a neighbor reported seeing some young men kind of waving. I don't know what they were doing, but they shouldn't have had him out the way they had him. So The officer was nice enough to let them go versus arresting them, and no one was hurt. So
that's the important part. Is we all got to get home at the end of the day, and that's everybody, you know.
Yes. All right. We have a Facebook message from Miss Donna Kirksey. Says, "Great program. Thank you for informing the public, and thank you to the officers for their service." And Keisha says this is excellent information. So, with that being said, for parents, and we're going to get ready to hit another break. And so it's up, what can parents do to educate their kids? And then this is where you all come in as officers, again, hosting these community engagement events to have these conversations more than just once a month.
We've got about a minute left. So, again, number one, we're not bad guys, right? Something that I know that bugs Haggans, and it bugs me, and it bugs 90% of the police officers out there. When you're walking through the mall and your kid is acting sort of goofy and they say, "You don't start acting right, I'm going to make that officer take you." Don't do that. Number one, if your kid's in trouble and they need help and they're lost and they're away from you, we don't want them to think, "Well, I've been bad because I've hid from my mama. I've been bad, so that officer's going to take me to jail." We're there. We're also there for the good times. We're there to communicate. We're there to get people help. And again, communication. And that's what it all boils down to. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. We communicate with each other. If you have questions, hey, call us. Hey, ask us. You see us walking down the street, wave us over. Hey, come talk to me.
And I want to give a shout out to Officer Nate, or Detective Nathan Coleman. He has, with the FOP, they have the gun range. And so maybe that can be another education.
They're doing a whole lot to educate, and we can talk about that more if we need to, but they're doing a whole lot to educate with that.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to take another quick break. We're speaking with Sergeant Lyle Waterworth and Patrol Officer Jonathan Haggans from the Jonesboro Police Department. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Mu Omicron Lambda Alumni Chapter presents our annual Smoked Turkey Scholarship Fundraiser, with proceeds benefiting ACT testing scholarships for area students. Prepaid orders for turkeys and turkey legs will be taken through November 9th, with pickup on November 19th. Ordering and other information is available via any member of the chapter or on the KLEK website, www.klekfm.org.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyers.com.
Did you know that KLEK 102.5 FM is a nonprofit organization? Did you know that you can donate to KLEK 102.5 FM and your donation is tax deductible? Donations to nonprofit organizations such as KLEK can reduce the amount of taxes you may owe the IRS or increase the amount of any potential tax refund. Support your KLEK today. You can donate by calling 870-277-1080, visiting our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro, or on our website www.klekfm.org. We at KLEK 102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. Y'all missed out on all the fun in the in-between segment. So anyway, we're going to keep it rolling. We're going to lighten it up just a little bit. We're going to talk about Trunk or Treat was the last event that the Jonesboro Police Department participated in. And also right now they have going on No Shave November, but it's for a cause.
Right.
So let's talk about Trunk or Treat. How was that?
First of all, I really have, if you're a listener of KLEK, and obviously if you're listening to us right now, thank you for helping support KLEK, because KLEK is part of the community and they absolutely hit a home run by helping us put Trunk or Treat together, because if it wasn't for KLEK, we wouldn't have had the massive outpouring of support that we got. We had a ton of people out there. Some people were saying 800 people.
Oh, wow.
And it was Benjamin Street was wall to wall people, and it was such a fun time.
Wow.
I think everybody out there had fun. The people that were working the hot dog stand absolutely were exhausted. They made over 500 hot dogs and they were gone within an hour.
Officer
Seaborn and Chad Hoggard, and we had several others that were there working, and it was fantastic. It's the first one I've ever gotten to be a part of.
Okay.
We sat down Tuesday morning. My office, community outreach office, sat down, and the chief and the mayor have already said, let's get ready to do it next year. Every time we do it, we want to do it better.
Okay.
So we love doing it on Benjamin Street, because the way that we can set it up is cars can be there to give candy out to kids, and it's sort of just a perfect location. We had kids from everywhere. It wasn't just kids from that neighborhood. There was kids from Egypt. There was kids from Cache.
Oh, wow.
There was kids from Brooklyn there. There was kids from all over town and all over Craighead County that came. And again, that's what we're all about. We're all about bridging the gap.
That's right.
Each community, getting to talk to each community and maybe make friends and maybe make acquaintances out of it. It's what we're all about, and that's why I want to say thank you to KLEK and their listeners for helping us do that.
That's why we're your community radio station, trying to be your voice. We try to be present. Well, I said Leganzi. We try to be present at everything possible. Shout out at Leganzi, LAJ, and Brandon, and the whole volunteer crew.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything. All right, so No Shave November. I saw this on the City of Jonesboro's Facebook page. I'm like, what? Chief Elliott agreed to this, because he was very strict on keeping you officers very clean cut.
One thing that Chief Rick Elliott wants is a professional-looking law enforcement agency. Shoes better be good looking. Your uniform better be good looking. And I promise you, if this goes on any further, these beards had better be trimmed.
Okay.
Chief Elliott wants, and the chief and the mayor want us to be part of the community.
Okay.
And because it's fun, because other agencies do it, and it's a fundraiser for other agencies.
Okay.
We had to pay a minimum of $30. Of course, I goaded people that only wanted to pay $30, and so hey, if you want to be the minimum, that's fine. Just be the minimum. To
more money.
hey, that raised us over $2,600 for the Northeast Arkansas Food Bank.
But JPD?
Jonesboro police officers, 70 Jonesboro police officers, a little more than 70 Jonesboro police officers participated in this. Now, your listeners may not be able to see it because something I've noticed about most of the guys growing beards is they're white. Because it's not gray. I'm not old enough, and Officer Haggans isn't old enough to call it gray. It's got to be a white beard, right?
White. It's a seasoned beard.
It's a seasoned beard. So there's a whole lot of officers that have never. I have been a policeman. I've been around the Jonesboro Police Department since 1994. This is the longest I've been without shaving.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So how would the wives feel about this?
Well, I did have Officer Sheridan Watts' wife gave more than $30. She didn't do the minimum. She gave a little bit more than the minimum, and I think it was so Officer Watts would have to shave. But but you know, some of the officers' wives are in for it, but some of them I don't know how Miss Keisha's feels about it, but
it's different.
But I know that, again, I and Jay and I were talking about this a minute ago. We don't know how much longer we can stand.
I don't think I'm gonna make it all of November, but I did give my money.
Yeah.
Okay. Keisha says, "I love it, seasoned beard." All right, but again, it's for a great cause. It's to help raise money and food for is it Northeast Arkansas?
Northeast Arkansas Food Bank, sure enough.
Because there are many individuals in this community that go without. We have food deserts, and sadly, in America, we have food deserts, and people who are still not getting their basic needs met. So anything that the community can do to pitch in, those who have, to help those who have not, this is a great cause. So
we think so.
We love seeing you guys look a little fluffy. All right, we thank you. Shout out to Chief Elliott for allowing this, and again, it's for a great cause. So can anyone, if they want to support the cause, can they donate to you?
Absolutely, they can donate to us, or I tell you, and my daughter is in a sorority, and their sorority is to Feed the Hungry.
Okay.
Their philanthropy is to Feed the Hungry, and they're all about food bank. So the food drive is going on until November 15th.
Okay.
And they're doing a big drive on November 15th, the NEA Food Bank at Kroger. So if anybody wants to go give them food or give them money, they'll be more than happy to accept it.
All right. So look, this is the time, and don't just wait until the holidays. We should be doing this all year round, but around the holidays, let's go out and let's support these agencies that are really trying to help individuals that don't have, that are less fortunate. So I want to give a shout out to JPD. Thank you all for joining me today. I know the conversation was a little heavy, but it's still something that needs to be talked about. And hopefully we can get Detective Coleman in here to talk about the FOP gun range and how he's trying to educate children and families.
Absolutely.
On that aspect. So
I will talk to him when we get back to the office.
All right, so we have about a minute and a half. Any final words you would like to, any shout outs, anything you want to say?
Just shout out to my boo, Keisha.
And look, no texting and driving, people.
Absolutely.
Please. Have you had to make any arrests in the school zones?
I don't work school zones, but I know I do know that officers are writing tickets. I want to add something at the end real quick. Is if you see something, say something.
Okay.
If we want to stop crime, if we want to clean up neighborhoods, we've got to communicate with each other. If you see something bad happening, call us.
All right.
Be a good witness for us and help us help the neighborhoods.
All right. Thank you so much. I do have to give a shout out to Sergeant Waterworth. He wore a tie with some pink in it because, I love pink. And today's Wednesday. For those of you who ever watched the movie Mean Girls, you'll get the pink reference. So on Wednesdays, we wear pink. So anyway, with that being said.
I couldn't wear pink with mine.
Might get in a little trouble for that.
With that being said, thank you everyone to tune in to Kelly K. Thank you for your support. And after the show, enjoy the rest of the All Gospel Wednesday. Brother Cobbs will begin at 11 a.m. So have a great and blessed day, and I hope the rain holds off and try to stay warm and dry.